My name is Karen Towers and I live in Iowa. And thankfully, I do live near the Iowa Heart Center as I've needed to utilize their services. I have a long history of heart problems, and I'll just tell you, just for starters, about my history. When I was 12 years old, I got rheumatic fever, and I did have pretty extensive follow-up studies through the University of Iowa for a number of years, and they really weren't able to detect any specific heart problems on me in relation to the rheumatic fever. But I did notice that I had less stamina. I didn't tolerate certain types of exercise, certainly not heat or humidity. Shortly after that, in my teenage years, I began to notice that I was having a lot of abnormal heart rhythms from time to time and just didn't have stamina, particularly in the hot, humid summers that we have in Iowa. Dr. Hoyt, he's an electrophysiologist, which is a cardiologist who specializes in the conduction or electrical system of the heart, and he did what they call cardiac mapping, and he discovered that I have had numerous sites of abnormal electrical impulses causing many types of abnormal heart rhythms. So I went through actually it took two long days of what they called ablation procedures, and that is where they do an ultrasonic burning of these offending cells that trigger the abnormal heart rhythms, to burn those sites so that they could no longer trigger abnormal impulses. Unfortunately, I did end up having complete heart block following those procedures, and therefore I needed a pacemaker. My initial pacemaker was just a standard type of pacemaker where there's one lead placed in the right atrium and one in the right ventricle, and initially it was just so wonderful. I had not felt so well in many, many years because I wasn't having all those abnormal heart rhythms anymore. So I didn't even mind that I needed to have a pacemaker, just because I actually felt really healthy for the first time in many, many years. But after about 3.5 years, I noticed that I was beginning to have reduced stamina. It made me fatigued even just to walk into my work, and I was just thinking I was just in really bad shape and I needed to, exercise better or something. Then I had one night that was particularly bad at work where my heart was beating just very rapidly, and it was particularly a stressful time because I just felt so poorly at work that night. And when I went to the doctor the next morning, it was determined that I had developed cardiomyopathy. Cardiomyopathy is when you have an enlargement of particularly the left side of the heart, and a weakening of the heart, and there's an inability to pump the blood properly, and much less blood is pumped with each contraction. And I had an angiogram done at that time, and it was determined that I had just 25% ejection fraction, and that means 25% of the blood is pumped out with one contraction, versus it should be closer to 60% is the normal. That was quite reduced and definitely affecting my sense of well-being. Then in 2002, Dr. Hoyt had been doing some research on hip bundle pacing. He decided he wanted to attempt to do a different type of pacing because he was concerned that just the way the normal original pacemaker that I had, when it stimulated the heart, there's a slight delay in the contraction going from the right side of the heart to the left side of the heart, so it's not a totally normal physiologic contraction, and that over time that can cause damage and enlargement to the heart. And he was concerned that could definitely have contributed to my cardiomyopathy. When he went to put in a new pacemaker lead, he did insert one in the hip bundle, and much to his delight and to my benefit, I had a beautiful normal physiologic contraction from the hip bundle on. And then over time, that was in 2002, and by 2008, I'd had enough remodeling and restoration of my heart that my ejection fraction had increased to 54%. So that was a greatly improved situation. I wanted to share my story today because I'm so thankful for how his spindle pacing has enhanced my life, the quality of my life, and my heart function. And I'm hopeful that in hearing my story, other patients who have problems that would require a pacemaker would be familiar with what a his spindle pacemaker can do, and that more physicians also would consider using this type of pacing to promote a much more normal physiologic heartbeat.